It's in the singing of a street corner choir. It's going home and getting warm by the fire. It's true wherever you find love. It feels like Christmas.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Julie.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year. It's Real Christmas. Real Christmas is a special event where we take a look at all your favorite holiday movies. On today's episode, we're going back. We're taking a look at The Muppets Christmas Carol. The Muppets present their own touching rendition of the Charles Dickens classic tale. Wow, guys, another Christmas, another year where we get to talk about some of my personal favorite Christmas movies and some I really don't like, which we'll probably get back to that down the road. But right now, talking about The Muppets Christmas Carol, I gotta tell you guys, the Muppets are a strange, conundrum to me. For some reason, anything when they're not involved in a retelling of, a classic literary tale is usually not that great. Minus, those initial, first couple Muppet movies, like the Muppets, the Great Muppet Movie or the Great Muppet Caper and that. I like those movies. But god damn it, roll back the formula, Disney. It's so super easy. Muppets Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island. Those are quintessential Muppet classics. Take the Muppets, put them in a classic tale, make a movie. Not that hard. And I gotta tell you, Muppets Christmas Carol is probably one of my favorite renditions of the Christmas Carol tale, because there's a lot. I mean, there's super hardcore, racy tellings of the story. There's other even Disney presentations of the story. The one with Jim Carrey is another popular one, which I've actually never seen that, believe it or not, which I know that's probably heresy. Oh God. But yeah, there's so many tales of this, but of all the ones I've seen, I always think about the Muppets Christmas Carol. I don't know if it's just the Muppet characters, just Michael Caine dealing with Muppet characters, I think is absolutely amazing on every sense of the level. The music, the setting, I really, really do enjoy this movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does have its problems and we'll talk about it, but if I were, trying to introduce a younger audience member to the story of A Christmas Carol for the first time, you could do a lot worse than A Muppet's Christmas Carol, because I think it is actually a really fine achievement. Adam, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on The Muppet's Christmas Carol?
There's just something so charming about the Muppets. And going back to watch this movie, it was just
right.
A nice breath of fresh air. I was like, all right, this is the holiday season classic right there. No, this is a great movie. I love this one. I think it's the fact that they break the fourth wall. They all know that they're Muppets is just so entertaining to me.
Right.
No, and it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I love this movie.
There's something interesting too. I feel like it doesn't talk down to the audience too much either, because they actually do include the actual literary lines from the Christmas Carol story.
Right.
I think a lot of movies kind of try to go over that, right? They don't really kind of try to include that. They have their own take, but most Christmas Carols no, we're just kind of adapting it and here's the actual lines, kids, enjoy, have a great time, and then they make their funny Muppet comments on it, and yeah, I think that's good. I don't think a lot of movies would do that nowadays, especially. But yeah, no, I agree with you. John, let's go to you, man. What do you think?
First of all, I love this movie, and I love everything Muppet. I think that this movie is definitely one of the better tellings of A Christmas Carol, like you said. And I feel like it's almost in a way, you forget that it's Muppets, because they're just so put together throughout the whole movie. Even the guy that plays Scrooge, he's
Michael Caine.
Played so well in this movie. I feel like him going back in time, I feel like with the Muppets thrown in, I feel like it's a really good telling of the story.
Yeah, I'm curious if that has a lot to speak of for Michael Caine's performance in this movie, where he treats the Muppets like people throughout the whole movie. He takes it very, very seriously, to the point where, I know he's said in interviews multiple times, this is his favorite movie of all time, which I think that's hilarious. Out of everything he's ever been in his whole entire career, his dream was to be in A Christmas Carol, to play Scrooge, and he loved working with the Muppets. He thought that was a fantastic time, and you can tell Michael Caine's having a pretty seriously good time in this movie, so I think that adds to the enjoyment as well. But yeah, you're right, John. I would agree with that a lot. Julie, how about you? What do you think?
I completely agree with all of you. I like the word Adam used, charming, because this is a really charming retelling of the story. And this is the one that I come back to year after year. I don't think I've seen too many adaptations. I've seen this, the Jim Carrey one. I think the Flintstones one was another favorite of mine.
Oh, the Mickey one too. The other.
Oh yeah, Mickey.
How many
but
does
no,
Disney have? Like 3 or 4? Like there's so many Disney.
Too many
ones.
probably. But this is definitely my favorite one. I love just the contrast between Michael Caine and the Muppets. And it's fitting because he's Scrooge. He's, that dastardly, cheap, soy juck, he sucks the joy out of everything, no Christmas spirit and all these lively Muppet characters. So it's a really good contrast. I like a lot of the music in it too. And it just does a really nice job retelling a classic story.
Yeah, I guess the word really would be like the charm this movie has. Again, the Muppets just automatically add that, and makes it automatically attractive to almost any age of audience. For those who have nostalgia for the Muppets, and I think for first-time viewers as well, there's just something, again, very attractive that the audience finds with the Muppets, and it's understandable. It's interesting, too. This was the first movie that was made right after Jim Henson passed away. It was like very soon, I think, after he passed away that they made this movie, and I just wonder, like, the tenderness, I feel like kind of comes through a lot in this movie, especially when Kermit's giving, like, that little speech about Tiny Tim passing away. You definitely feel, like, the tenderness in this movie, and they push the boundaries a lot. I mean, for other Muppet movies, when I kind of went back and just tried to, like, look at some of the other footage that they used to use, this was the first time I saw them really, like, try to do something different with the Muppets. And what I mean is not necessarily like the Muppets themselves, but the shots and the footage that they used in the movie. A lot of the times you have like a straight shot of the Muppets. Like you have like the upper torso like me, and then next to me you would have like Kermit's like head like bopping like this across the screen. They didn't really do that in this movie. You could tell like the camera angles and the set itself were built very specifically for these Muppets and to capture like the most full body shots as possible. This was also the first time that they used green screen with the Muppets as well. So some of the scenes, which I don't know how you guys feel about them, where you get to see like Kermit like full body like walking down the street. I don't know, Adam, that do anything for you? I thought that was just kind of odd to see something like that.
It's always jarring. It's like, whoa.
Like, I don't know if I want that.
Puppet legs.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know if I want it, and it's green screen, so I get it. I know they're trying to do something different, but that set is horrifying. If you look at some of the behind the scenes footage, there's like planks of like you see. I think there's like where Scrooge is walking down the alley. You have like Michael Caine with a cane walking down like a plank, and then there's nothing on the side of him. It's just giant dropaways for people to stand.
I'm surprised no one got
puppets.
killed.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one died in that movie because it's impressive, and a lot of the scenes too. The set itself is absolutely beautiful. John, what do you think of like the soundstage design? I think it's really charming the way they designed everything because again, it feels kind of cheap, right? But at the same time, it fits in this world. I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of cheap, but it's also like you said, it fits very well in this world, and it seems like it all kind of goes together and tells one big story. I feel like it like almost makes it all come together throughout this whole movie.
Right. No, and there's scenes too. I think there's one scene like when Scrooge is singing with the ghost of Christmas Present or whatever, and you see like people trying to walk down an alleyway, and it's a set, so there's nowhere for them to go, so they're just like standing in a corner. If you like zoom in really close, it's really funny. There's stuff like that throughout the movie, which again, super charming. I love it. Let's talk about the songs in the movie. I know, Julie, you brought it up how much you thought great the music was, and I would have to agree with you. Adam, you have like a favorite song or scene that you like in this movie? Because I think the music is quite memorable and does help the movie carry a pretty steady pace, I would say, throughout the whole thing.
I mean, the most joyous one is obviously the ending song.
Right.
I really like that one. I don't know. It's just so fun because it's like, it all comes together, and seeing all of the Muppets that, their personalities are just within that like last 15 minutes there.
Right.
I don't know. It's just so fun to watch that.
Yeah, even like the opening. I love the opening song where they're talking just about how
Yes.
horrible Scrooge is. Like, it sets a tone, and a lot of movies would just tell you how terrible Scrooge is, or they would like do something different. I like how it's in song, and I kind of miss that from like even just classic Disney movies in general, where they would do stuff like that in their animated features. Don't tell me how bad someone is. Put it in song. Give me like this big like horrible opening, and Scrooge is intimidating. I think Michael Caine comes across that way.
What I love about that song is him, as you mentioned, walking on the plank and the cane tapping on the cobblestone. It just adds an extra, oomph factor to the song about him.
Yeah, humbug. Yeah, and I think that's great. John, how about you? Do you have a favorite song in the movie?
I think I could agree with Adam with that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I feel like most of the songs in the movie though seem like they work very well, and I also think that the best part this movie has going for it too
Mm-hmm.
is less Miss Piggy,
Oh well,
as
yeah.
little Miss Piggy as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Miss Piggy could be a grating character, I think, and a lot of the Muppets can be. I think if you look at some of like the other Muppet projects that have been out there, too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. But this movie actually kind of does it very well. It's interesting to see that they took the character of Scrooge wasn't a Muppet. I thought that was actually an interesting choice because you feel like in a Muppets movie there'd be less human characters, but this they kind of went the realm more of like I think what they kind of do with Muppet Treasure Island that they did, and also what they do like with a lot of like the Sesame Street shows, if you really want to compare it to other Jim Henson productions, where the human characters are there and the Muppets kind of act as like supporting characters almost in the movie. I mean, some of them are kind of main character level, but they kind of support the main character here. And I don't know if this would have worked. Adam, do you think this would have worked with like a Muppet Scrooge? Because I don't see this being as interesting to me.
I mean, this goes back to us talking about Michael Caine and his role with this movie. I think that he just brings out such a personality with all the Muppets that it just, I don't know, it's so strong that I don't think that it would have resonated as much as, it does with Michael Caine.
Yeah, just imagine like Kermit as like Ebenezer Scrooge or something like that. It just doesn't work, right? There's like no way.
No,
I mean, I
no.
could see those creepy old guys that are usually like just making their funny little comments, maybe being Scrooge, but
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think it'd be as good.
yeah, but imagine
No.
like a whole movie with that. Oh my
Yeah.
god, like I
Be
don't know if I
grating.
could take it. It's also interesting too that even Kermit's really, really not the main character. If you want to make an argument, I guess Gonzo would be technically the main character since he's Charles Dickens, the narrator. This wasn't the first time he would like lead a movie either for the Muppets. He also had his own movie. I think what was it? I think in the 2000s he had that Gonzo. It was like it was like him finding his family or something like that. There's another movie that happened later because Gonzo was a really popular character and he's an interesting choice. I think he brings a lot of like the comedy in this movie that really lands for me, especially being like the omniscient narrator is like my favorite scene where like they're talking about, oh, how come no one can see you? Or sometimes they can see you. Or what's the scene? Julie always jokes about that where they're like, he knows when things are going to happen and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the omniscient
Oh, yeah.
narrator. Yeah.
Like, how do you know that?
Yeah. Well, even just I love the back and forth between him and Rizzo.
Yeah.
The two of them together just really bring a lot of the comedy.
Yeah, Rizzo's an interesting character. Steve Whitmire, he got canceled though, right? I think they got rid of the Rizzo character. Something happened. I don't remember what the details are. We're not political on this show, so we're not going to get into it. But I know his character was canceled and Rizzo was kind of erased from the Muppets. They kind of got rid of that character. And if you notice, like more recently, the crab character, I don't know who that is. He's kind of been like Gonzo's sidekick, where Rizzo used to be Gonzo's sidekick. They've kind of swapped places. I don't know what happened. Again, we're not talking about that kind of stuff. Whatever happened, it is what it is. But in this movie, their chemistry is great. And I think they have a lot of fun. And I could see, like, especially the adult audience who gets some of these more jokes that would go over a younger audience's head. I think they're really good. And I found myself genuinely entertained by them. Let's talk about some of the negatives maybe with this movie, because I think there are just a few little things, right? For as good as Michael Caine is in this movie, I don't know what it is. I want to curious to see what you guys think. I feel like just some of his dialogue just doesn't sound right or lands right. Adam, would you agree with any of that? I feel like sometimes there's just scenes that are just like, just off. I don't know if it has to do with acting with puppets or just,
Yeah,
like
okay. I
inflection,
can see what you're
maybe,
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think at one point, maybe it was earlier on, where it just it felt flat.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. I guess that's more what I'm leaning towards. Like, there's scenes where like I want him to be super angry or super like annoyed and cranky, but he doesn't really come across that way. I don't know if he's trying to play it more subtle, but I feel like it doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah, okay,
And
I
this
get
is
that.
this is a nitpick. I'm not trying to make this like a big thing because the majority of him, he's fantastic in this movie. We can all agree though he's not really a good singer. I mean, Michael Caine probably shouldn't be singing too often in movies.
But it's
But
sweet
he's so
though.
happy.
Like he doesn't have to be a good singer.
He's talk singing, the classic Disney that gets away with it.
I love the Christmas present one where he's doing the little dance.
Oh my god, he's like so happy, and he's just like,
cute. I can't stand it.
He's like, oh, he's not even like dancing. He's just like moving slightly to the right and slightly to the left. Fantastic. But you know what?
So
Michael
precious.
Caine's having the time of his life, so who am I to take that away from him? The one interesting thing, and now I'm curious. Now, did everybody kind of watch this on Disney Plus? Was that where they checked it out? That's where me and Julie watched it. Adam, was you? Johnny, is that where you watched it too?
Yeah, I own it, but I also
Okay.
watched it on Disney Plus.
So there is a controversy with this movie, which is kind of odd. There's a song that's been taken in and out consistently throughout this movie. The one on Disney Plus does not have the song, which I thought it did. There's a song that young Scrooge and his young girlfriend in that scene, they sing the song. What is it? They sing it at the end of the movie.
It's I think a version of like The Love We Found.
Yeah, The Love We Found.
Or maybe it's like The Love We Lost, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where they sing that together, and it's a pretty popular song, surprisingly. It wasn't in the theatrical run. It was cut out. It was put on the DVD, but then it was put on the VHS, and then it was taken off the DVD, and now it's off on the Disney Plus version, and I think it's added as a special feature. If you go into the movie, you can actually watch it. I think it kind of needs that song. Did anybody else check it out? Or I know, Julie, I know you've heard it before. I feel like it is integral to be in the movie.
It shows a lot more emotion, especially without it. It cuts to Rizzo like sobbing,
Yeah.
And it doesn't have like as much justification with what you're presented with. But when you're looking at it with the song in place, then it would make more sense for Rizzo to be having these bigger emotions about the song. And it's sweet, and again, it is a contrast to that final song where it's The Love We Found. So like seeing Scrooge lose out on the love earlier in his life, but then later on find it along with the joy of Christmas. It just adds a little bit extra more heart.
Right. What do you think, Adam? Did you even see that song at any point?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. Does it make sense though? Probably because it does feel like a jump, right? When
Now it does. Now it makes sense.
Because it feels like there's just something missing. The ironic part of the whole thing is for the missing song, Scrooge's girlfriend. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. Shoot me.
Belle.
Belle. Oh God! Wow, really, Belle? Really? That was her name? Yeah, go figure.
I don't know if that's always her name, but in this one, yes.
It is. All right. So Belle, she's like smiling the whole time she's singing this really sad song where she's breaking up with Scrooge. Probably not the song you should be smiling while you're singing about breaking up with a guy. Just saying. Maybe that's why they felt to cut it out. John, do you know anything about that song? Is that something you were privy to?
No, actually, I felt like it was weird though at that part too, because I was like, it seemed like something was missing there. It was just like one of those things where you're like, I feel like something else was supposed to be here, but no, I never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I feel like it should be added in, especially it is a completed scene. It's not like there's anything missing from it or anything like that. It's completed and it's not that much more runtime. Is it even 5 minutes maybe that's added to the movie? I would doubt. I just feel like it's a piece that needs to be in there. Which, that is probably another criticism too. And that might be more of like the Scrooge story. For me, it always like kind of sags in that section of the story with young Scrooge. I was just never super interested, even as a kid, in that section. That ghost kind of creeps me out. The ghost of Christmas Past. I don't like her. Anybody else kind of creeped out by her alien face floating around? Adam's shaking his head. It looks like he's ready to just like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, it's the contrast with the other Muppets. It's like,
Nope, none of that.
Yeah.
I think she's scarier than Death at the end of the movie.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, Death, I don't think he's that bad.
And her voice is haunting.
Yeah, no, none of that. Death, I like the joke. There's always like a joke where everyone thinks it's Big Bird that's under the Death costume, and that might have been like an eventual reveal at some point that I think they had for the character. That would have been hilarious. Could you imagine? Death was under the robe. It was Big Bird. But I do think this movie's classic. It's one of those movies I feel like it's hard to talk about. It's just a really good movie. It's a really feel-good movie. I think it is honestly one of the best tellings of A Christmas Story, and it's kind of hard to rag on it. I think it just really is a good time. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be something else. This is what I would argue for a lot of younger viewers, especially around like our age group and whatnot. This is kind of what we think of when we think of the Muppets. This is the kind of movie, more so even than the Muppet movies, which I know were popular obviously prior to this, but this is the quintessential Muppet movie in my opinion. And With that all being said, I think, guys, we're ready to put a number on this one. I'm going to give The Muppets Christmas Carol a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, that does it.
Pardon?
How do you know what Scrooge is doing? We're down here and he's up there.
I keep telling you, storytellers are omniscient. I know everything.
Hoity-toity, Mr. Godlike Smarty Pants.
To conduct a proper search, Scrooge was forced to light the lamps.
How does he do that?
I have a really good time with this movie. I mean, as much as I could try to make fun of like Michael Caine's kind of weak delivery here and there, and maybe a little bit of the creepiness with the Ghost of Christmas Present, I really enjoy this movie. I find myself consistently every year throwing this one on the TV. It never misses, in my opinion. Is it a perfect movie? No, but it embodies everything I want. I think it's one of my favorite, I would say most enjoyable tellings of A Christmas Carol as far as a story. I love the set design. I love the characters. It aged incredibly well, which it really has no right to, considering it's just Muppets. I mean, some of the CGI, sure, if you really want to argue that they shouldn't have done that, fine, whatever. I've seen a lot worse and a lot bigger budgeted Marvel movies nowadays, so I'm not going to give it that much of a hard time. I think it's a fun song. The song, I'm going to show my kid this when we get to that point. It's a fantastic movie. I think it's a classic. Adam, I'm throwing it to you. What do you think?
I'm going to give The Muppets Christmas Carol a 9.8 out of 10.
Once again, alone in his room.
Whoa, that's scary stuff. Hey, should we be worried about the kids in the audience?
No, it's all right. This is culture.
Oh, Jelly Bean? I had him in my pocket all along. What?
Such a feel-good movie, like you said. It just works so well with the Muppets and Michael Caine, and the fact that they're able to give the Muppets so much personality, in this film where it's just a very drab, supposed to be a drab, I guess, story that they're telling, but it just, I don't know, it works so well. And I think that it's very deserving of that high score.
Right, and I can agree with that score. I think there is a hard line that can be found between comedy and drama, and I think, ironically, this movie balances it very well. It kind of goes more for the drama and the seriousness of the Christmas Carol story, while injecting just enough fun and charm with the Muppet characters where it doesn't take away from it, but it actually, ironically, enhances the movie, making it a very much more enjoyable story, with even the lesson not missing its mark at all, as important it is about the Christmas spirit. And I agree with you, Adam. I think that's justified. John, let's go to you, man. What do you think?
I give this movie a 9.5, just like you do.
Can I have your attention, please?
Quiet! Thank you.
I feel like it's a solid, good movie. Always a movie I like to watch around this time of the year, and always a solid way to tell the Christmas story tale.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Jim Henson's legacy is really remembered fondly here. Brian Henson did take over at this part, his son, and he did a phenomenal job with this. I'd agree with you, man. Julie, last one. What do you think?
I'm going to give The Muppets Christmas Carol a 9.7 out of 10.
And do not shout, Bettina. I'm Belinda. I'm Bettina. Of course you are, Bettina. Belinda. Whatever.
Again, this is just the classic Christmas Carol. I really do love the music, and I find myself singing along every time. Michael Caine with the Muppets is just a perfect combination to tell this story with the right amount of heart, the right amount of comedy, and the right amount of drama. So this is my go-to retelling of this literally classic story, and it's always a must-watch every holiday season.
Yeah, no, I can't agree with you more. The Muppets Christmas Carol really just captures just the magic that we want, I think. And, again, Disney, I really can't stress this enough. Take some freaking notes here. Just take the Muppets, take a classic story, put it together, make an adaptation. You got gold right there. I mean, it's not that hard. Those characters work so well in these retellings, and it's fun for kids to even go back and watch these stories. There's a reason I think we remember stories like The Christmas Carol so well, because we're kind of infused with these characters that kind of enhance the story. While we may not know the exact, Tiny Tim was dying, but he was a man among his years, and he was so smart. Okay, maybe I don't remember all that, but I remember the Tiny Tim character, at least from this adaptation of The Christmas Carol, given to me. And I think there's something to be said for that. I think it's phenomenal. But don't forget, Tiny Tim, who did not die, was at the end of this movie. I love that. I gotta love that. You gotta love the little toss-ins there. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Is The Muppets Christmas Carol one of your go-to Christmas Carol stories? If not, what are some of your favorite adaptations of A Christmas Carol? There's so many. I mean, just, geez. I saw one that had Tom Hardy. I think there's like a mini-series that was on like FX or something like that. That's got to be a trip. I can only imagine what that's about. But again, I want to know from you guys. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Throw your scores up there. We right? We wrong? Somewhere in between? Let us know. But guys, we got so much more coming this season for the Real Christmas series. Make sure you come and join us for all our future reviews. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are begging you, please, if you like what we see that comes out of our mouths. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That's Adam, John, and Julie. We are the Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll catch you guys next time.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, it should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.